What's going on, team? Hope you're all good. I'm going to start doing some more of these kind of journal episodes where you can kind of see why I've taken trades, the reason why I've taken them, why I've entered them. As you can see, I've left quite a few because I've been meaning to do this for about a week or so now. So I've left quite a few on the charts that we can have a look at. Euro USD has been pretty good to me lately. It always is pretty good. I'm absolutely confident the strategy that you're learning will work on pretty much any kind of major currency pair or even the exotic pairs. I personally just find Euro USD is one of the most manipulated, and therefore it works really well with manipulation setups, which are, liquidity sweep setups. So hopefully this can give you some insight into my train of thought. I'm not going to do any fancy editing on these. It's not going to be a case of, it's going to be, there's not going to be any fancy, like I said, fancy edits on it, loads of screens or cameras or something, because then I can just knock them out really, really quickly, and I can do them every day if I need to. So I'm going to take the replay tool back to here just so you can see how we got into this trade. So we can see that price was on a bearish push down. We had swept out some liquidity to the left, as you can see here, and we had a really nice bearish push, which on the 15-minute would have given us a really lovely range to work from. I think that, in fact, that was actually an hourly range. Yeah, okay, so you can see a really lovely hourly range to work from. Now, we came into the morning, and we had, as you can see, rejected the EPA, which was just sat there. Okay, we have been rejecting the EPA, but EPA, whilst it will hold really nicely sometimes, it doesn't necessarily always hold price and reject price. It all depends on various other market factors. So I did get into this trade. It's a perfectly valid trade, as you can see. We had some external liquidity here, which was a 15-minute internal range. Some external liquidity here. We had a very clear ISC, which is that candle there. So the ISC is an impulsive sweeping candle. It left our imbalance behind. And then we had within there as well, where did I get into it? We had within there as well, I think it was here. Let me just zoom in on a little bit better. We had here, we had our push down, and we had all these kind of wicky. So although we didn't have any actually bullish candles giving us our manipulation setup, and you could argue that actually we would have wanted our manipulation setup to push down to something like here and then give us our setup like that, and that could have been maybe saved us a loss. But ultimately, I was pretty confident on the trade. I was pretty confident on the bearish price action. I entered on that engulfing there, which is that engulfing candle there. We got in, stop above the ISC high, and obviously that trade failed. So look, is what it is. It's done. Move on to the next. Let me just come out of this replay tool so I can get to the next trade. So on the next trade we took, which was, let's just get rid of these ranges now. I'll get rid of that one. Okay, next trade we took, we were then banking on the fact that actually, do you know what? We have cleared out liquidity to the left. If we go up to the kind of the 2-hour time frame, we can see we are in a bullish price action. Okay, we've now had some quite nice bullish price action here. We've had ultimately a false breaker structure here, then we've had a liquidity sweep. So, could we be pushing for higher prices? And we did have that liquidity level there, as you can see. We came into, I think it was the New York session. Yeah, okay, so we came into the New York session here. Just getting the replay tool again for you. Okay, so we had the New York session. Okay, it's a really, really lovely tight entry, to be fair. And we could have held it even further, but I knew that ultimately we were limited by this liquidity level here. So what I did was I held up to that liquidity point, and rightly so, because it did reject quite quickly, as you can see. And it's quite a high risk trade. It's quite high up, but everything I was seeing was, to me, indicating that we're going to push higher. We had an initial break here, which then became a false breaker structure. We then had our further push down. We tagged into this little demand zone whilst clearing out our EPA and our internal liquidity. And for me, when I saw this big bullish push up, I was like, right, as long as I get my MSU set up, which we do here, we had push up, push down, push up, push down, push down, manipulation, engulfing. I was really, really confident on this trade, so I actually took it before the engulfing. I was like, there's no chance this is going to push down from here. Maybe a little bit bold of me to think like that, but as you can see, the trade played out really, really nicely, and we got out of it our 3R. So I was really, really happy with the management of that trade. I could have held it a little bit longer. If I am trading quite high up in a range, I'd probably recommend, whilst you're newer to trading, to not trade so high in the range. All I'd say to you is, if you are trading quite high up in the range, I would do a smaller position. I wouldn't take 2 positions on something like that. I would definitely do a smaller position, and ultimately what I would do is I would just hold to my first profit, and then we go from there, really. Okay, so took a 3 hour out, and we were kind of good. On to the next day then. So we are now at 7:30 a.m. Okay, we've had a push down from external liquidity, which is that level here. Okay, really lovely push down, really clear rejection. We know that the market is generally quite bearish as it is. So we're generally quite bearish at this level here anyway. So, we're expecting, we've got, various liquidity levels that have been swept. That's another liquidity level that's been swept there. We've got various liquidity levels that have been swept. Let me just tidy up this chart a little bit for you. And, we're expecting price to push down further. We're in, the premium part of a, higher time frame hourly range. We've just started rejecting from there. We've got the momentum on our side. And for me, I'm thinking, do you know what? Actually, 15-minute range is bearish as well. This is, for me, this is an indication we're going to continue the bearish momentum. We've cleared out liquidity on the buy side. We should be aiming at liquidity on the sell side. So coming into the New York zone, so we had let's have a quick look. Okay, so we had, I think this must have been a news event. Yeah, Thursday, 25th of January, 1:30. So we had a news event here, okay. As we discussed in the chat today, with news, first half an hour of news is really, really important. So what price does after half an hour after news, so we are looking at about here by now, okay, what price does is really, really important. For example, in this news, we had a big push down, then we had a big push up, and then we failed to make any new highs. Now, we could have kept pushing up, but actually we've cleared out liquidity to the left. We've taken out London's high, and we've got all the bearish factors in our confluences. So for me, it was a simple case of, I saw these rejections. I was pretty confident that was a news-related trap. If I'd waited until half an hour, which would have been 2 o'clock, I would have been quite late on the trade, as you can see. But actually, as you can see here, we cleared out the trap, and then we get another entry anyway. We get our MSU set up there. So we could have entered like that, and you know what, thinking about it, we might have even taken a second position there potentially. But for me, I was pretty confident in all of this price action. That itself there is an MSU setup. We had a manipulation, engulfing, and I struggled because it was last Thursday, but maybe entered on the engulfing, or I might have just entered earlier. I'm not sure, if I'm honest, but I was pretty confident on the bearish price action, and as you can see, it played out really, really nicely. When we talk about the various factors, within this strategy, it's not one thing that we're looking at which is going to enter us or exit us into a trade. It's a collection of combination of confluences that are taking us in and out of trades. And that's what's so important to understand, is it's those combinations of things, those combinations of confluences that are going to get you in and out of trades. And that's a really, really important differentiation to understand. There's no one thing which gets me into trades. It's lots of things. Now, we'd had this kind of bullish push here, okay? Had this bullish push here. We've come down and we've tagged that level there. We've then rejected. For me, I'm like, right, okay, well, we've taken out some bearish price action. This line would have been here by that point. We don't know what the liquidity is yet. We've taken out some bearish sell side. Sorry, we've taken out sell side, buy side liquidity. Now we've taken out some sell side liquidity. So, what's the chances of us, pushing back up higher? Where have we swept? Well, we've swept Asia bearish, okay? We've then come in and taken out some internal liquidity levels here. So if I get a nice little setup from here, okay, and we take out the external liquidity there as well, of course. If I then get a good rejection, for me, it was just a case of finding an entry. And, we entered quite late, as you can see. We entered quite late, but we entered on the MSU once again. We could have entered a little bit lower here. Can't remember why we didn't enter that low, but, we get our MSU set up, so it doesn't really matter. And, we placed just a safe stop, a nice bit of room to breathe. We did have the imbalance down below there, which was high risk, of course. So trades like this are managed quite tightly, but as you can see, it held really, really nicely. This trade actually turned out to be quite a good one from what I can remember. Yeah, good 6R, I think we got out of it. And again, it's just a case of holding up to these highs, looking for where price is likely to reverse from. We had that news entry there. We had EPA there. We had this trend line kind of pattern which was forming. I'm just trying to think why we came out at that level. Possibly, let's have a quick look. Let's just zoom back a little bit. Let's just see what we've got up here. Possibly, was it the EPA? Yeah, there you go. So we had an EPA level there. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Okay, EPA level there, as you can see. And I took my profits out, and the rest is history. Lovely 6R trade out of there, and we're good to go. Now this one's gone a little bit longer than expected, so I'm going to clear this chart. I'm going to record another one for you guys tomorrow. Hopefully that's really clear. Any questions you have, pop them in the chat, and we'll see you in the next video.